What's up, everybody? Hey, everybody. What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Standing Out.
Please welcome to the stage the VP of Operations at Beta Consulting Group and the host of today's episode of Standing Out live from the Accelerate Conference, Coleman Ruffin.
Hey there, everybody. Can you hear me okay? Can you hear me okay? All right, perfect. Thank you all for being here for this episode of Standing Out. For those that do not know, Standing Out is a sales, marketing, and leadership podcast put on by Beta Consulting Group, and we are here to discuss the successful women in our industry. We're going to do a little bit of a rapid fire introduction for all of our guests today. And for anybody that heard me speak yesterday, I apologize. You're going to hear a little bit of a similar spiel in the beginning. But I think that it's only right to really start off this show by saying thank you to you all for being here, right? I think that sometimes it goes overlooked of the attendees of these conferences. Each and every one of you is having a profound impact on this industry. Me being a new father of a daughter of 3 months, y'all are setting the foundation for not only her generation, but generations that are coming in the future. So thank you all. Let's hear a round of applause for all the attendees. Thank you. Thank you. Again, my name is Coleman Ruffin. I'm with Beta Consulting Group. I've been in the industry for a little bit over 12 years now at this point. And again, for those that heard me yesterday hearing the same joke, you're like, how can somebody that looks like they're 13 be in the industry for 12 years? I'm a little bit older than that, I promise. But we've got a great show lined up for y'all today. Again, we're going to have it almost like a night talk show. We're going to bring up guests, talk a little bit about some of the things that they're doing in the industry. And without further ado, let's bring up our first guest. Lana Nichols of Women in Trucking, Vice President. Lana, first and foremost, thank you so much for putting on such a great industry show. You've absolutely crushed it. And I've heard that it's a record attendee setting year.
Yes, actually every year is a record setting year for us. So we have officially over 2,000, I believe it's 2034.
There we go.
So 2034 attendees here today.
Amazing. Absolutely amazing. Yeah. We can hear it for the attendees again. I love it. I love it. And something that I actually just learned about you recently is that you come from a long lineage of hobby winemakers, and that's actually how you got in the industry. So tell us a little bit about that.
It is. So growing up, both my grandfathers on both sides of our family, my mom's dad and my dad's dad, both made homemade wine. And so we just grew up kind of a family tradition. We would get together, make wine. I remember being very small, sitting on a whiskey barrel, like that's what they would make the wine in. And yeah, we would just, it was just a family thing. And so my husband, during college, my husband was kind of interested, like, oh, what is this thing that you all are doing? And like, let me be part of it. And then growing up in Southern Illinois, we would go on the wine trails and, kind of do that sort of thing. So fast forward after college, we moved to Idaho from Illinois, and we were just exploring the area. And we saw some signs for wine tasting. So we were like, oh, we should check this out. But then we didn't see a winery anywhere. So I said to my husband, just pull over. I'm going to go knock on this door and find out where this winery is. So lo and behold, the person that answers the door ends up being Joel McGinley, who is a consultant in the industry, now with Hub Tech, Talent Tech. But at the time, I just graduated college. I'm like looking for a job, just moved to this new state. And so he walked me and my husband through his vineyard. It was not a winery. He just had like a Knights of Columbus wine tasting for his church the weekend before. The signs were still up. So that's why I couldn't find the winery anywhere. But yeah, it's just a chance thing. And so he ended up being, he hired me at the Loadboard truck stop at the time. And he was a coach and consultant in the industry. And Women in Trucking was a member, or Truck Stop was a member of Women in Trucking. And so that's how I kind of got connected with the industry and with Women in Trucking, and had mentorship throughout from him and Ellen. And so, yeah, that's my story, even though it's totally random. But yeah, that's how I got in the industry.
I love it. And I feel like that's a very common theme with everybody in this room is once you the transportation industry really falls into your lap. And then all of us, once you're kind of in it, you're in it forever. And it was the same thing with me. I didn't know what I was going to do out of college. And I was talking with a buddy. We happened to be at the gym. And he's like, hey, you should apply at this company. Like, they're hiring like crazy. I was like, okay, sure. I applied, ended up getting the job, and have stayed in it ever since. And something that you were just talking about there is about the mentorship that you had received and kind of where it's gotten you today. And that's definitely a topic that I want to highlight specifically within Women in Trucking. So can you talk a little bit about the mentorship program that y'all are putting on here?
Yes. So we have more of a formal mentor match program for all of our members. Anyone who's a member of Women in Trucking has access to get on Mentor Match. And that's all through our Engage platform. So whether you want to have like a more formal mentor relationship, or you just want to, bounce ideas off of others in the community, best practices, you have a question, you can post that on our Engage platform on our forum, or you can sign up as a mentor or a mentee. You can actually be both. You can be a mentor and a mentee in different areas. But I highly encourage you to check that out and be part of that. It's just with your membership. It's just part of being a member of Member Benefits. So we heard in the influential panel this morning how important relationships are, and building your network and having a mentor. Those that have a mentor are going to be more successful in their careers. So that's something that we thrive, and we want people to engage in that way, to just have that resource and take advantage of it. So Mentor Match, just through womenintrucking.org.
I love it. And you were talking about it, you can be a mentor or mentee in different areas. Is that broken down by job families? Or what is the difference in breaking it down? Like leadership, what is that?
Yeah, I wouldn't overcomplicate it too much, but basically you can just be in the directory and be a mentor. You can say, I want to mentor, and I'm open as a mentee. But there are ways that you can search more specific in different areas. So job function, those kinds of things. So you can do a search. If you're searching for a mentor, you just go to that section, and then you can see all the different bios. So you can actually look at people who have put themselves in the directory as a mentor, and you can read about them. And if something strikes you, or you have a similar story, or maybe they're in a leadership role that you hope to step into someday and you want to learn from them, you can reach out to them and see if you're a good match. So you can actually do it all through the website. You just click, make my match or something along those lines. They get an email, they can reach out, and it doesn't have to be a formal thing where we meet once a week. You can work those relationships out with what's best for you and your mentor or mentee. So you can say, hey, it's just once in a while, it's just when I need advice, or let's meet up at the Accelerate conference or at the Salute at Matt's and get to know each other, and maybe we'll just have a phone call once a month, or so it's very up to you and the relationship that you want to build with each other.
I love that. And that's really one of the things that I've definitely noticed about this conference is how open everybody is to help everyone else. And this is just putting like a formalized thing to it. I mean, I've heard so many conversations of people that are a little bit more tenured in their career with somebody that's a little bit newer to the space, just talking about their experience and how they can kind of emulate some of the things that somebody that's a little bit more tenured to make sure that they're getting where they need to go. So I absolutely love programs like that. Thank you all for setting something like that up. And Women in Trucking obviously has a very big push to make sure that we're empowering women in our space, making sure that we're providing the opportunities that are rightfully deserved for everybody. And I know this has been a pretty common theme that we have talked about throughout the event, but from your experience, what are some of the biggest challenges that women face specifically within this industry? And then what can we really do to overcome those challenges?
Mm-hmm. So I feel like we could have a whole panel just on this one question. There's a lot of things that Women in Trucking addresses. One is truck parking. And so we just came out with a truck parking solutions guide. We have a lot of members who are working for solutions in that area. And so getting like-minded people together to help remove some of these obstacles. Safety is very important. Also, just the image of trucking in general. And, when we're trying to get more women into the industry, we want to make sure we're addressing that image. So working with companies on, okay, when you're recruiting, make sure that you're using women in ads. Women need to see other women in these career fields, in these roles, not just as a driver, but in all roles in the industry. And, then that kind of breaks down that unconscious bias that people have of like trucking is more of a male populated industry. But when we utilize women in our ads, and we actually have them in our offices, and we see women running companies, we have female engineers who are designing, and it's just we need to be making sure that we're putting them in the forefront and making sure women see other women and they're like, I can do that too. That's I didn't even think about this as a career, but now I see other women do that. I could do that too.
Yeah, 100%. And I think that trucking and transportation as a whole is a pretty invisible industry. And what I mean by that is you don't grow up necessarily saying, I want to be in legit. There might be a couple few in here that have said that. And if that's you, more power to you. But it's a trillion-dollar industry, multi-trillion-dollar industry that just is behind the scenes. And again, getting the word out about the opportunities, specifically from a woman's perspective, is absolutely huge. And I am going to put you on the spot a little bit and try and see if we can read into the crystal ball. But women in trucking has obviously come a very long way. What are some things that you're hoping to see out of it in the next couple of years, or what some of the goals are?
Yeah, so we're actually doing a lot in that area to see what is next and making sure that we're very intentional and strategic about that. One of the things that we are excited about is doing more regional events. I know that was mentioned earlier, I think yesterday. So we want to make sure that we're carrying this energy throughout the year and to others who aren't able to come here. And, we talked a little bit before I came up here about drivers and making sure that drivers can have this experience too, but it's very hard for them to get off the road, especially for several days to come to something like this. So if we can meet them where they're at and bring that energy, excitement, education, best practices, the networking to different regions, and hopefully we can meet more of our members where they're at.
I love that. And I think that part of getting women in trucking to where we all want it to go is it starts again with everybody that's here in the audience too. And I think that that's another common theme that I've heard in several of the sessions is continuing the conversation, right? Like us up here, Atlanta can obviously do a phenomenal job promoting the event, but the more and more that the word of mouth is spread through all of y'all is what's really going to help take this to the next level. And again, continue that conversation as we're continuing to move forward. So with that being said, I wanted to, again, thank you so much for the great event that you're putting on, setting the foundation for, again, all of the future women in our industry. So let's hear it for Lana, everybody.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right. So next up, we have some fun things that we're going to be talking about here, and I'll let her get into it. But I would like to welcome to the stage Tracy Rushing, everybody.
When it's raining and it's pouring, in the morning,
Tracy, how are we doing today?
So good. So much fun.
Yeah.
Y'all having fun?
There we go. Now we're getting some life after lunch. I know it can be a little bit dragging sometime. So for those that don't know you, can you give us a little career highlight, or what's your your time in the industry and kind of your involvement with women in trucking?
Sure. So my time with women in trucking is kind of short. So I've never been part of a carrier before that was part of women in trucking until I became part of the Ari Garrison trucking family. And they were already involved with women in trucking. And they have 126 female drivers in their fleet.
Amazing. Oh, yeah.
Which was awesome because it was just kind of a ready-made platform for me to say, there are other obstacles and challenges for the women in our industry. Same opportunities, I believe that, but this different challenges and obstacles. And so we have to be more creative, and we have to come up with solutions that make sense from under the wheel for those drivers. And so that's kind of when I heard that they were part of Women in Trucking, I really wanted to learn more about it. And when it didn't take long. I think I saw a podcast and I was like, hey, that's my people over there. So spent the last couple of years really getting my feet planted in Women in Trucking and the mission of Women in Trucking. And I'm pretty excited about where we're going. Lana's got big plans.
I love it. I absolutely love it. And again, another fun fact that I learned recently about you is that you're big into dirt bike racing and deer hunting. I need to know more about that because I've never done either of those, but it sounds like a blast. Tell me how you got into those.
So it's actually dirt track racing.
Dirt track racing.
I have a counterpart who's a dirt bike racer, but so I grew up
that's
in
from
the
a
dirt.
rookie, spoken like a rookie that doesn't know.
Right. So in Mississippi, we say if you're part of the racing family that you do it in the dirt, and we do a lot. Like you get pretty dirty. But my father owns a HVAC company that sponsored race car, Southern Modified race car for years. And so I grew up at the track and then married into World of Outlaw go-kart dirt track racing family. And so my husband and my son and my best friend and her husband and son are all World of Outlaw go-kart dirt track racers.
That's so cool. Okay,
Yeah.
now I need to know, how fast do these go? Are you going like 10 miles an hour? Are you going up to 40? What's that like?
So the kart tracks go between 55 and 60 if you're winning. And it's tough. Like they are tiny little things sitting right on the ground, zooming by, and they say it's fun. And I say the nachos are delicious. That's what I say.
I was going to say, I have a feeling that at the next Women in Trucking, we have to have a track outside, and then you got to show us how to do it.
We
Right?
can do it.
Yeah. I love it. In something that we were talking about before, in a program that I definitely want to highlight, and I'm glad that this is something that you're passionate about and want to discuss, because I was actually talking with Larry Wailuda of Truck Suite, excuse me, and he had a little red pin on his lapel that said 61, and I had to ask him about that, what that is, and I want to hear from you. What is Project 61?
So Project 61 is pretty new. You may have seen it on some of the social media platforms, and it's kicked off. We kind of messed ourselves up a little bit with it because we kicked it off with a step challenge, and it's actually not a step challenge. Project 61 is a movement, and it came from an ACTRI study that came out apparently a long time ago, and I did do a good job of paying attention to it, that said the expected life expectancy of a commercial driver is 61 years old. And I said, that is absolutely not okay. And some good friends of mine said, that is absolutely not okay. Especially being that if I take the Tracy out of it, and I just think about it from a business point of view, our drivers are our largest investment. To only have a driver be productive until 61 years old is a huge issue from a revenue standpoint, if nothing else. But the fact that I would have to make all new friends very late in life, because literally every person I know is in the trucking industry, and many of them are drivers. And so Project 61, we hope you will hear more and more about it coming. It's about education. It's about making all of us aware that 61 is the expected lifespan of a commercial driver, and that it's not okay. I haven't met one person that we've talked to about Project 61 go, oh, that's fine. 61's fine. No, 61 is when we're going to calm down and get to grandbabies.
Yeah. So within Project 61, you were talking about obviously the education side of things, making sure that people are aware of there. Is there resources that come along with that in terms of, hey, this is how you can, or we as an industry can increase that life expectancy, like workouts that truck drivers can do? What are some of the things that are actually within there, if there are?
More to come. That's what I know. So we are at project-61.org, and Jeremy Reimer is our founder. Many of you know him. He was the founder of Driver Reach, and he has had so many really good industry partners come along and say, you're right, 61's not okay, and here's a resource that I can pour into that movement. And so it will become a collection of resources and education, healthy meals from the truck, places, parking is an issue. There are a lot of reasons why drivers aren't out of their truck moving around. Parking is an issue. So we're hoping that our industry friends will come alongside of us and help us figure a lot of that out.
Yeah, and I love that y'all are on that mission, because I feel like there is this movement within the industry of realizing that, you know, driver safety, driver health, and all that is important, right? I know that, for example, Dr. Mark Manera is really big into fitness within drivers. We've got Evan Shelley of Truck Parking Club, again, trying to make sure that these drivers have these safe places that they can park. And again, just making it more of a friendly, quote unquote, industry, if you will. So kudos to the Project 61 team. Absolutely love that mission. And for those that don't know, we actually have the winner of the 2024 Most Influential Woman here up on stage. So let's hear it for her one more time.
Thank you.
For those that were not able to attend the session, tell us all about that.
I'm learning all about that. So it has been a whirlwind. It's so fun, but it's humbling to have people that you respect so well come and pour back and say, you know, what you did was notable, what you said stuck, what you said mattered. It made a difference for a driver along the way, or it made a difference for a driver manager along the way, or a diesel technician, or whomever it may have been. To have your industry come behind you and say, we're proud of you, you've influenced us, it's huge. And I'm really, really proud to represent women in trucking this year.
Yeah, that's amazing. And again, I think that anybody that can have an effect even on just one person in the industry, like that is absolutely amazing. But somebody like yourself that has had a positive effect on a number of people throughout the industry, it's a testament to some of the things that you've been able to accomplish in your career. So I am going to again pose you the question a little bit on the spot with a crystal ball and talk women in trucking. All right, we've heard from Lana, who actually is part of it and running it. What are some things that you would like to see women in trucking be in the next couple of years or have?
I would like for it to help us shore up our identity for the women in trucking, that we are truckers and this is our industry and we have a place here, and that you are backed by an industry that's going to continue to work to create places for you to be successful. Whatever that looks like. I'll rely on women in trucking to do tell us what to do next. But I think every single one of us has to understand that it's our responsibility to move America. Women or men, drivers or driver support. If there are things that are broken within your organization, are broken for you, are broken for your driver, and you say nothing, we have a terrible saying in our group, is you must like it, because you've said nothing. Because if you have learned anything in the last 3 days, it is that you are aligned with 2,000 other yous who want you to succeed. And if network, build the relationships, get the cards, get the pins, something to remind you of who your resource is. I think that's more to come from women in trucking.
100%. And again, it's going back to that general theme that I was saying before, continuing to have the conversation, speak up sometimes when it's awkward, right? That the voices that are in this room are what is going to continue and move our industry forward. So Tracy, thank you so much for your time. I'll let you go. Let's hear it again for Tracy, everybody. Yeah. All right, everybody. So we are going to continue on with our other guests that we've got here. Some of you may have seen her before on social media. I know she's got a pretty big presence. For those that don't know, please help me and welcome to the stage, Ingrid Brown.
California, somewhere greener, somewhere over in the mountains, down by the ocean.
You get a long walk, right? There we go. Got the great socks on in her Women in Trucking red. I love it. Ingrid, how are we doing today?
We're doing good. We're doing good. I have to say, Jim Tabor, one of my fellow board members, granted me the Aero Truck Stop. It's a match today, ladies.
There we go.
Go see Jim.
For those that don't know you, and I'd be shocked for those that don't, but give us a little highlight about who you are, what you do, and all that fun stuff.
Oh, good gracious. I'm Ingrid Brown. I'm from the Blue Ridge Mountains, North Carolina. I am a professional driver. Next month, I'll be 45 years of having my CDL. And I used to be an independent owner-operator, and now I've transitioned to being a company driver, which has been amazing and fantastic. I run 48 states, 49 actually, and Dynamite to Alaska at a time. And listen, I've been with Women in Trucking from day one. I'm also on the board of directors, which I'm very blessed and honored to have joined them this year. And I'm pretty well the clown and the one that comes up with crazy ideas all the time.
I love it. We all need the crazy creative person in our lives. That's for sure. Okay, so you're a professional driver. You've operated in all 49 states, if you will, in that sense. Is there any state that you haven't been to, or have you touched every single one of them?
Every single one of them.
That is amazing. Now, I have to ask, and I have a biased opinion on this, but what's your favorite state that you've been to? Or city, if you want to give us that.
Okay, this is how I look at the United States. United States is one city. Every state is a suburb. To me, it's all connected together. The only difference is you may have a different style of house, you may have a different culture, you may have a different way you cook, the way whatever. But to me, it's all one. I can't pick my favorite. I could say home, but there's not a one. I can find something in every single state and pretty much every single city that I love, and the people. That's why I truck, is the people.
I love it. And I've talked to so many either current truck drivers or former truck drivers that have said that is one of their favorite things, is truly being able to experience all the different cultures and different cities, different foods, whatever it is, of all of the suburbs, if you will, of the United States. So I completely get where you're coming from in that sense. And I want to talk a little bit about your time within Women in Trucking, obviously, since being part of it from day one and it being part of your career. But I think that something that's really powerful is talking about some of the challenges that you might have faced throughout your career as a woman driver, right? Because all of us have talked about some of these challenges, but you've lived it and lived it every day. You know, what are some of the things that you have found that are challenging in your seat in an everyday life as a truck driver?
I think the most challenging thing is to try to get the word out that I'm nobody special. Forget the name Ingrid Brown. Every single person that drives a truck, especially women, can do exactly what I've succeeded in and been blessed with in my career. There's nobody that can't do what I have done or am doing for this many years. The only thing you have to do is just apply yourself for it. Of course, that also goes towards men drivers as well. I'm not going to take that away at all, because if it wasn't for the guys when I started, I wouldn't be sitting here. Now it's time to pay that forward to the ladies and to the women that are in the seat. At the same time, we have to understand the guys are still there for us as well. So it's not splitting the two or anything like that. It's just the realm of working together. So I think the biggest challenge is getting the word out that I don't care if you're a single mom, there's a place for you of a local. If you are a empty nester, whether you and your husband can now start another career without the kids and you can go off, or even if you're a widow, you have a place to start. We had a lady here last year that started at 60. She went to truck driving school. There is a place and there's somewhere that's in the driver's seat. At the same time, there are so many support positions and everybody. We can't do what we do without the support team behind us. The support team can't do what they do without us in the seat out on the road. So the biggest challenge is getting that word out, and that starts with every one of us sitting here, everyone that's at the WIC conference, and also even out on the road. We have kids that are coming up, all of us. I have grandkids that are coming up. Start them young. Start teaching them that they too can have a logistics or a driving or a support position in the trucking industry. And it's an amazing career. I can't go on and on about making sure that challenge and making sure that word gets out.
And I want to then flip the question on you, because I think that you're 100% right. That one of the biggest challenges that we face as an industry is continuing and making sure that people are aware of the opportunities within this space. But specifically from your seat, what are some of your favorite parts? I know we were just talking about traveling, and again, if that is it, and getting to see all the states and everything, but what are some of the glorious parts of being a truck driver, and what are your favorite parts that we can, again, try and highlight when we're talking about this career path?
Well, those that know me and follow me know that I love hood shots. Okay. My hood shots, I have them as go by a Garmin, go by a GoPro. The thing is I don't take pictures of scenery all the time, because the scenery and the weather and the conditions and the sunsets and the sunrises, those are the most amazing things and actually ground me. They also show me why I do what I do. Not just that, and seeing the things that I see and those type of thing is meeting the people. I mean, I said that and I'll say it over and over and over and over. I have family in 49 states, literally. I have a girl in Alaska that does tags, and now she has a new baby, and it's like, I keep up with the baby, and it's like, Grammy's checking on you. There's so many ways to connect across this country, learning the different cultures, learning what I don't want to eat and learning what I love to eat. Things that I would have never experienced, but probably the most gratifying of that is that I have so many people that reach out and say, I've never left my hometown. I've never left my state. I live my travels through you. And when I first heard that, it hit me, and I was like, oh my gosh, you might not want to do that on some days, but it is. I can share my life with others on things that they can't do for themselves.
I love that. And immediately when you're talking about getting to see so many of the great things that are out there and taking pictures of it, I'm like, man, pictures just really don't do it justice too. Sometimes you see and you're like, oh man, this doesn't, you want to send it to somebody and like, oh, it looks cool, but being there and actually experiencing it goes a long way. So now I want to get back to the women in trucking side of things, of course, but you said you've been here since day one.
Yes.
How did you get involved, right? Was it just a bunch of people saying, hey, let's start a coalition, let's get this association? What was that like?
I knew Ellen from back in the Trucker Buddy days. And if you don't know what Trucker Buddy is, it's when you become a pen pal, basically with a school class and a teacher, and you show them geography and even addition, subtraction or whatever. And I knew Ellen back then. And when Women in Trucking, started, and she came up and was like, this would be a really great idea. Da, da, da. I was like, I'm on board. Count me in. Because through my work with Trucker Buddy and through over the years and stuff, I found that if I don't give it back or give it away, then I'm not going to receive. And making sure that, the kids had things, I'm like, wait a minute, whoa, stop. I want to see more women out here. There were very, very few of us when I started. So now being able to encourage and see that, it was like, count me in. I am hands down.
And so being a part of it for its tenure, talk about the impact that Women in Trucking has had on your career, and again, some of your favorite parts about it.
Women in Trucking has really played a huge part. They've reached out to me and utilized me in different areas. I was on the cover of USA Today in 2019 and did a feature video. I had a videographer, the senior videographer, USA Today, on the truck with me for a couple of days. I had the senior editor out of LA with me for a couple of days. And it showed the life of a female on the road, fuel stops, loading at produce houses, being in the truck. I'm also one of the FMCSA voice and face of safety. So if you see these billboards out, please don't come up there and take a Sharpie and draw a face on me. Told you I was a clown. And, the outreach of that hasn't been the same thing I've always said, and I'll stand by to today. You can take Ingrid's face off of this, and there's 3.6 million driver faces that fit every bit of this on safety. Our Roads Are Safety is a campaign of teaching general motoring public how to maneuver around big trucks safely. And it actually starts from school to driver's education to elderly. And it's an amazing campaign that the government freely gives to everybody, and it's out there for anybody's utilization. These are the things that it's brought to me. And, it sounds like, oh, yeah, it's publicity stuff. It's not just that. It's a way that I can give back what I'm learning and my experience. It's my way of sharing with you or with those outside of our industry what our industry is about, how we represent ourselves, how we represent each other is a huge, huge thing because we support each other. That's exactly why we're here at the Accelerate program, is we're here supporting each other. And to see 2,200 women and men in this, I have been literally just floored all week. It's been amazing.
I love it. And something that, again, has been a pretty common theme is talking about mentorship and the power of networking, which obviously Women in Trucking has been a big aspect of that. But to your point, you've also become the face of certain programs and things that are out there. Talk about your career in terms of how networking and if you've had any mentors that have helped get you the importance that has really helped.
Well, that comes back around to, the Image team. The Image team was formed literally to do ride-alongs, to speak to media, but at the same time, we also reach out, welcome new members, but we also show other members outside of that through different ways of how we can help promote that we do have a place, and there is a place for women in every aspect. These ladies come through this week and volunteer and give their time, and they work their fannies off. You won't see one of them that you can't stop and ask something of or anything. That's part of mentorship. They're here mentoring to every single one of you that are sitting here and those that are outside these doors this morning. They're mentoring not just at this Accelerate program, but they're mentoring out on the road because they're all drivers. So there's a huge, 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 area there that's covered by just couple handfuls of ladies that volunteer and give their time. And there's a place for every single one of y'all to join in doing this exact same thing.
And throughout your career, you've had a very tenuous career, if you will, but you've got a long way to go. Now, for people that are in this room, if there's one piece of advice that you can give to women in the industry of saying, hey, this is something that I highly recommend or has had a profound impact on my career, what would that be so that they can, again, try and take it away and make sure that they're emulating that?
There's nothing in this career, in logistics, in the supply chain, in trucking, that any woman can't do. If she wants to be a president of a company or own a company or a fleet, be a senior engineer, be chief of safety, go to FMCSA and write the rules and regs. Of course, call me first. I want to put my input there. There's absolutely, there's nothing. Do not ever think that there's not a place for you, and don't ever hold back of what your dreams are.
Yeah, and I think again, it's great hearing stories like yours and everybody else that we've talked to thus far. Not only from a, hey, I've been there and I've done that, but also y'all are pretty approachable, right? Like it's very easy to come up to you and just say, hey, I want to hear your story and I want to pick your brain on things. Every single person that's in this room, again, is very easy to network with, and I highly recommend that. So again, I'm going to ask you the same question that I've asked everybody, a little bit of a crystal ball. Where do you see women in trucking going? What are some things that you want to see out of it here in the near future?
Oh, I see it just getting bigger. That's the biggest. I mean, really, what other answer do you give? I want to see the membership increase, but at the same time, I want women in trucking to reach out outside of the membership into the logistics, trucking, transportation, neighbors, family. I don't care who it is, but I want to see women in trucking reach out and reach out to let people know what we are, what we do, and what we support. We have such a support backbone in amongst all of y'all, in amongst the inner workings of the board of President, Vice President Jennifer and Lana and everybody that works here, that women in trucking can spread and create such a flow for people that can come into the industry. So I want to see it outreach. I want to see that outreach reach people that we never thought we could reach.
Yeah, and so now I actually need to go back to it. From the first Women in Trucking conference, how much has it grown? How many people do you remember were at that first one by chance?
300.
300. Wow.
Yeah.
And we have literally gone over the 2,000 mark, and it's just going to continue and grow from here.
Exactly.
I love it.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Well, hey, everybody, let's hear it again for Ingrid Brown, and we'll continue on.
Thank y'all. Thanks, Colin.
Yeah, thanks. All right, so we are going to continue along here, and we've got one final guest that we are going to be speaking with. Please help me and welcome to the stage, Carrie Schaefer.
You wanna say let the words fall. Honestly, what you want to say.
Carrie, yeah, how we doing? How we doing?
Doing well.
Good.
It's hard to follow Ingrid Brown up on stage, I tell you what.
Yeah, well, I have a feeling we're going to have a couple of stories that come out of this too. But again, I like to start off with some fun facts, and something that I recently learned about you is that you're an ultra marathon runner. What is
Yeah,
that about?
That is true.
I literally tried to run a mile the other day just to get out, and I thought I was going to die. So how the heck did you get into this sport?
Well, I haven't done an ultra marathon in a number of years, but I just enjoyed, I think of running as thinking time, just being out there and just being able to sort of, just release, relax, and mind over matter, I guess, when you're doing ultra marathons. And I've done a 100-mile run, done the Comrades Marathon in South Africa, and it's just my way to just unwind. Sounds weird, but
hey,
I
more
do.
power to you. I can't even imagine running. I can barely imagine walking 100 miles. When you're going through something like that, and right, you're talking about mind over matter, I'm sure that there's plenty of times where you're like, oh man, it would just be easier just to stop right here. What are some of the things that you have to talk to yourself through and get through when you're running 100 miles? I know I'm really putting you on the spot, but like, I can't even fathom that.
I think you just have to keep going, think about the end, think about being done, probably. I mean, it's probably like a day in the life of anybody. Just like have a goal, know what you need to do to reach that goal, and just stick with it.
There we go. Maybe we'll check back this time next year, and I'll see if I can get the mind over matter and get something like that done. But I'm not holding out too much hope. For those that don't know, can you give us a little bit of a career snapshot? What you're doing today and your involvement with women in trucking.
Sure. So I have been at Daimler Truck North America for 27 years. I am background is in engineering. I'm currently in charge of a group, product engineering, that's responsible for designing our cabs, our cab exterior, interiors, entire vehicle engineering group. And then we have a large group of engineers in Mexico that help support all of our series and current product engineering. So pretty large staff. Love my work. Love being at Daimler. Love our products. Love our customers, and love the network that I have.
I love it. And then how did you get involved with Women in Trucking?
So I joined as a member in 2011 was my first year as a member. And in 2012, I was asked to be part of the board. And I actually ended up leaving Daimler for 3 years. Can you imagine leaving this fantastic industry? I left the industry for 3 years and left Women in Trucking, came back 3 years later and was asked to join the board when I came back. And I've been on the board for 7 years and the board chair for the last 2.
Again, going back to the conversation that I was having with Lana earlier, it's like once you're in the industry, it always finds a way to bring you back in here. And I know that you and I were discussing before that you know a little bit about our previous guest, Ingrid Brown, and have some funny and great stories. What are some of the stories that you have to share about her and your time working with her?
So we had this conversation getting ready for this show. I have my commercial driver's license. So I have the good fortune to go out on the road, drive our trucks, test them out. And I was recently on a summer test and thought, I'm gonna sleep in the cab. I need to sleep in the cab. I need to understand how our products, you know, how the products are working for the drivers. And there were no facilities where the truck was parked at all. And I didn't know what to expect. So I had grabbed a big gulp cup. Sorry, this is kind of maybe gross, but
earmuffs for some of you.
Cup from a truck stop and put it in my bag, thinking I might need to use this later. And I took my pillow, took my sleeping bag, climbed in the truck. Had to use the cup. Had a good night's sleep. The truck worked great, and I got up in the morning and grabbed my cup, grabbed my sleeping bag, my pillow, walked out and dumped the. Yeah, it was really. Yeah, I thought, wow, this is not good. It's not a great experience for women to have to do that when there are no facilities around. So, and I wasn't sure if I was doing something wrong. Like, is there something I'm missing? Like, So I called Ingrid the next day. I said, Ingrid, you got to tell me, what do you do if you have to go to the bathroom at night? She said, pee in a cup.
Right. And I think
she actually told me, no, I needed to get a porta potty or a small cassette toilet to take. So I told Ingrid and everybody out there, like, my legacy now in my job is I want to get a cassette toilet in our trucks all the time for all you drivers.
Well, yeah, I love that. And it's, again, going to highlight some of the challenges that women are facing out there that you don't really think about on a day-to-day basis, but then being able to be in the truck and live that for a little bit, right? You experience that. So now I know you're just talking about getting a little porta potty in there, but are the trucks now going to have a bathroom in there? What's going to be some of the future designs that we can do to help solve it?
Yeah, I think that's a challenge, but I think we can start with a small cassette toilet. We try to be really, diligent about storage and amenities for drivers in the vehicles, for sure. Spaciousness, lighting. We talked a lot about safety this week. I mean, my team knows. I mean, I tried to ask drivers that I was running into in the conference and on a regular basis, what do you love about our trucks? What do you like about our trucks? What don't you like about our trucks? Not just our trucks, but trucks in general in the industry, and got a lot of good feedback. And I know safety is a major concern for women drivers, and that's something I think we all should pay attention to. I think somebody mentioned it earlier, what are the issues we want to tackle in the industry? And that's one of them that we can do as an OEM, as an industry to influence.
And now this kind of just takes me on a little bit of a tangent in terms of the development of trucks. What do you think the future of trucks is, right? I know that there's been a huge talk about electric trucks, hydrogen trucks, anything along those lines. Is that even practical? Because from somebody that's involved with the industry and looking in, charging stations, and there's so much infrastructure that needs to go out there. People talk about autonomous trucks. What are, looking into the future, some of the things that you see from a trucking perspective?
Technically, all of those are possible, but the infrastructure is a big hurdle for us to be able to implement electric vehicles, fuel cell, hydrogen. The infrastructure has to be there, and right now it's not there. As an electric truck, I don't know how many people have driven an electric truck. They're great to drive, but there's just no place to charge them. So we have a long way to go before we see electric trucks on the road at any large scale. We really need to scale up the industry for that.
Yeah, that's definitely been a common theme that I've talked with people about is, again, the idea and the theory behind it is amazing, but to actually get there, there's so many things that really need to go into it. So you've obviously been part of Women in Trucking for a long time, been on the board. Tell me a little bit about the impact that Women in Trucking has had on your career.
Well, one, the network. I'm on the board of directors with some of the most influential companies across the industry, and I have the opportunity to network with those members and board directors and hear about issues that they're having, share ideas for how we can encourage the employment of women in our industry. What are the things that they're doing, learning from each other, best practices. So that's been great for me. I've had a great opportunity to expand my network. And I bring a lot of those ideas back to Daimler. I share a lot of ideas from Daimler with my other, board directors and members, and the membership community of Women in Trucking is just amazing.
I love it. And again, I'm going to tell you to look into the future, and I think it's going to be a pretty common theme of what we want to see out of Women in Trucking. But what do you envision Women in Trucking being in the next couple of years? What are some things that you want to see out of it?
Yeah, I think we have a really powerful association. I think we have opportunities to collaborate with other associations, not just in this industry, but associated with women in positions that are, challenging, where we need more diversity. So collaborating with other associations, outreach. I think the other, Tracy and Ingrid and Lana mentioned that outreach is super important. I personally want to see our membership grow significantly. We have a goal of 25,000 members by 2033.
Wow.
Yeah, so we're at 8,000 now. So we want to get to 25,000 members. Influencing the industry for me is really important. I want Women in Trucking to have a seat at the table on any issue that's relevant for women, that we can break down barriers and roadblocks. I want Women in Trucking to be there at the table, helping to knock those barriers down.
I love it. All right, everybody, that is where we're going to let Carrie get off the stage and wrap with her. So let's hear it again for Carrie, everybody. Well, so this does conclude all of the guests that we have. So thank you all for being here. And again, I think that I keep saying this, but this network that everybody has here is extremely powerful. I am very honored to be able to be up here and be a part of this network. I have truly seen some amazing things, not only at this event, but at other events in the past as well. So we'll go ahead and let you get back to the rest of the day. I know we've got some other fun activities that are planned, and thank you all for joining me. Appreciate it.
Yeah.